Hello and welcome to the preview show for Chelsea versus Arsenal tomorrow. My name is Posh Bertie, the poshest man in all of sports entertainment, and joining me, who has not been stressed at all, is
Absolutely
Gooner
not.
Gathering's founding father, the one, the only Gooner Lee Meads. How are you today?
Hello, Posh Bertie. I am very, very grateful for that lovely introduction. Thank you very much for that. I'm doing okay, mate. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. It's been a very, very, very busy day today, I can tell you. And just finally, Stacey goes, oh, I mean, really? I love you, Stacey, mate.
Good things come to those who wait, Stacey.
Absolutely. My goodness me, we've got 5 people in already. Welcome in, everybody. I hope everyone has had a really good week. We've been a few days away from Gooner Gathering, and you know, it's nice to jump in and have a little bit of a chinwag with the poshest man in sports entertainment today. Before we get all really stressful for tomorrow's live stream, Posh. How have you been, mate? You okay?
Oh, I'm okay today. Everything's great. I think it's because having a week of not having to watch Arsenal play and it's not being so stressful. Maybe that's what's making me a bit more at peace than normal. But yeah,
Fabulous.
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
No worries at all, my friend. So we've got a lot to cover on our broadcast this evening. And if you haven't already, guys, make sure the 4 of you that are here, I can see every single one of you there. Make sure you hit that like button. It's just about down there somewhere. If you could do that for us, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much. So the international week is all done with, mate. We got back to our Arsenal stressful business now. And I would suggest to you, sir, that anyone who thinks that an away trip to Stamford Bridge might be a piece of cake might really need to think about their life choices. What do you think, sir?
I completely agree with you. Yes, I know that our last 3 visits to Stamford Bridge has resulted in Arsenal winning, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but it's still going to be tough. If you look back on how we're unbeaten in the Premier League this season. That's great, but if you look at how we've performed, it's some of the games haven't been as free flowing as we'd like. Chelsea will be tough. They have their last 2 Premier League games they've won. I think it was 2-0 against Fulham, 4-1 against Burnley. So they're getting back into the swing of things, and they've got players that, people say, oh yeah, that their squad isn't gelled. They won't be able to settle in and everything. Well, they're doing very, very good at the moment. Mudryk has actually gone back into form, of all things.
Oh no!
Yeah,
of course he has. Just before the game for us tomorrow. Fantastic.
But I think people think it's going to be a cakewalk. No, it won't be. It's a really, really tough game to have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, Premier League, you and I think, my goodness me, I think we're starting a strong, Posh. I think we're actually going to agree with a lot of stuff here. Wow, things are moving along. It's like the good old days, mate. So in all seriousness, Posh. So yeah, anyone who thinks that going to Stamford Bridge is going to be a cakewalk, it's not. I mean, as Posh really, really eloquently put out just then, they are coming back into form just before that international break. They're probably actually thinking that international break probably came at a really bad time for them. Emmy, come in. Do you want to say hello to everybody?
Yeah, running.
Yeah, a little bit of a running for little Miss Amy. Say hello.
Hello.
Come on, the Arsenal.
Oh, yeah, the Arsenal.
Absolutely right.
Excellent. Couldn't agree more.
Right.
Thanks, mate. So, Amy, so how do you think Arsenal are going to get on against Chelsea? Do you think Arsenal will win?
Arsenal We win.
Arsenal win.
Excellent.
That's confirmed, everybody. No, nothing to
More
worry
confident
about.
than I am.
Absolutely. So, what I'm kind of thinking at this stage, Posh, is
Yeah.
if you put our mindset back a couple of weeks, right, to the Man City game. Now, you and I might have had differing views between the starting lineup. And do you know what? I think I might go back a little bit further and saying, if I recall you saying to me, Amy, thanks, mate. Go on, off you go. Amy, let me ask Posh a question. I'll be right back to you, okay? So what I'm thinking to you is that if you remember prior to the Man City game, we asked the question about the starting lineups and everything like that. Now, I think you were of the mindset that you were quite cross about everything initially.
Before the City game, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of understood it to a point. But my question to you is, do Arsenal Football Club approach this game tomorrow with the same sort of mindset? Top quality to your position. This is what I'm thinking. Top quality of position. We can't take too much for granted. Do we go a little bit cautious to start with? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Look, we've got a Champions League game coming up after the Chelsea game. However, Chelsea away and I think Sevilla away from home in the Champions League. Yeah. Both are big games. Both are tough. Both, I'm afraid to say, need first team players, need our strongest squad. So I think if Thomas Partey's fit and ready, you start him. Saka, if he is available, I would start him against Chelsea. I think I'll be honest with you, I haven't been keeping up to tabs with the injury news in Arsenal. I don't know what Saliba's status is. If we don't have Saliba, then, well, that's the result then. But
look, I understand. So I've actually taken the trouble to do my little bit. I don't have my notebook in front of me. In fact, quite honestly, with every one of you that are watching us, I've had to set this stream up very, very quickly with my phone. So I haven't got absolutely everything I want with me. But, so William Saliba, I'll go through the injuries, has got a bit of a toe injury, I think. I believe he may have had an injection prior to the Manchester City game. So I would imagine, despite the fact he may not have played the international matches, I think he'll be good to go. The other two doubts that we are talking about, of course, is Posh Bertie's favourite player, and that's Leo Trossard. Hamstring issue. So, and to be honest, I want to be a bit cautious with that because Leo has got such a different thing about him. He's got that knack of making a difference in a football match, even if he's starting or if he comes on later in the match. And you have to bear in mind, I'm having to adjust my old little noggin here, in that it's not like the old days. The tactics have somewhat changed a little bit. Rules have somewhat changed a bit. And what I mean by this is that there's so many substitutions being made in games these days that it's not just about figuring out the starting 11s. It's also about figuring out them bench players who might make that impact later on in the match. Trossard has, I think I've referred to him on our channel as the impact player, the super sub, if you will. One that has come on and made so much of a difference in so many games. He has had moments as a starter, don't get me wrong. The Everton game comes to mind straight away. primarily because I rewatched some of that stream earlier on. But there has been some moments with Trossard when he plays that, like from the start, that he doesn't feel so creative. Maybe not so much making the most of what he can do, if you understand what I mean. So let me just read this comment. So they will have fitness tests at the training ground early today. So no one will know who's fit to play tomorrow. Yeah, and I totally agree with Emerson Cosia's comment here. I think Mikel Arteta, prior to the City game, was really, really smart. And do you know why? It's because we saw the pictures of Saka coming down the tunnel, didn't we? We both saw it prior to our chat along on our stream. We all saw him coming down, and then all of a sudden the team news drops. He's not ready to play. Now, the psychological effects of having a big player for us missing are huge, aren't they? Let's be fair. And we're kind of I kind of felt that we were put in, like Jesus, for example, in the Saka position. He has different sort of attributes, if you like, that Saka has. I will point out the defensive qualities that Jesus. You have to excuse my eyes going, by the way, because I have my 11-year-old behind me, guys. So you have to bear with me. I'm full-time daddy as well as all this sort of stuff. Jesus played his defensive role, and I want to say he played his part for the team. He almost like took a bullet, if you like, for the Arsenal against Man City. He might not have been the most natural right winger. I think Bertie probably will agree with me here. But he actually played a part for Arsenal. If you don't mind, you answer that question, I will be right back. And
Who's this?
Something.
Who's this again?
I said Gabriel Jesus.
Oh yeah,
played in the Saka position, i.e., on the right hand side of a front three.
Yeah,
Might have been the most natural position for him. He had his role to play though, and I thought he did very, very well in. Although it might not have been his natural position, looking back at it, because I know I was a little bit critical during the live. I have watched it back, but having watched it again, you see that Jesus had his part to play, certainly defensively on the right hand side. If you don't mind, I will leave you for a second. I'll come back.
I'll do that.
Thanks, mate.
No worries. Look, Jesus is a far better striker. Yes, he's played on the right wing recently, but he's a better striker, and we all know why. Look, I understand people, my co-host, for example, wants Jesus on the right wing so his golden child, Eddie Nketiah, can start. But Jesus is the far better striker. Against Chelsea, he should start up front. If Saka's fit, then he'll start along with Martinelli on the wings. That's how I would play it, and I think the same should apply in the Champions League. Maybe have Trossard on the wings instead, just for rotation's sake. But look, Jesus is a good player. He can score goals. I do think he's more of a support striker than an actual proper out-and-out striker, but I think his best position, obviously, is up front compared to the wings.
And I couldn't agree more with that. I heard the very last bit of what you said there. I think if I remember, I took note of this, that there was at least 5 tackles that Jesus made that were absolutely critical in the Manchester City game. The interesting point I think that we can make is that during starting 11s have to come into our heads a little bit in terms of our game for Chelsea for tomorrow. And we have to bear in mind, of course, that there's been a lot of people have been away on international duty as well. There's been people that have been playing, certainly like I'm thinking Martinelli and Jesus obviously have been playing for Brazil, for example. So time zones and everything like that will be very difficult. So I would like to know, who do you think may line up for us tomorrow evening?
So it depends if Saliba and Saka are fit enough. I think we'll see David Raya in goal again. I think we'll have Ben White, Saliba, if he's fit, that is. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko at left back.
Yeah.
I say Zinchenko at left back. We all know he'll play in midfield. I'm hopeful that Arteta is smart enough to play Partey, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield and not play Partey at right. If Saliba is not fit enough, I fear that it will be Partey at right back, White at centre back, with Gabriel and no, he can't play two inverted fullbacks. Surely not.
No. Certainly away from home.
Not against Chelsea.
I'll intervene on that one, because I think away from home you have to be very cautious. You have to have players behind the ball as well. Big up to Mile High Hotspur. Thank you so much for jumping in again. Really appreciate you jumping in. Guys, I want to make sure that every single one of you that are watching our stream, either live or on demand, go and support Mile High Hotspur, because they are doing fantastic work. Yes, I know they're the enemy, right? But as a YouTube creator, to help out a YouTube creator, I want to say big up to them and thank you for joining us. Right, so the big questions that I would.
Is that your phone number?
That's no, I'd see what this is.
Yeah.
This is squad numbers. So Emerson Kozia thinks that Raya should start. That's Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko at left back. Partey to start alongside Rice. I think that sounds like that two-man pivot, very much so, right? Looking at Odegaard, Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka. So that's presuming, of course, that Saka is good to go after the international break. Let's not forget he did miss the crucial, and here's the important thing: it was a crucial qualifying match for England. So against Italy, that actually I think England, maybe beyond my expectations, I will say, did a really good job against Italy. Let's just say hello. He's changed his name again. I know exactly who this is. That's Arsenal forever. And
Tomiyasu instead of Zinchenko tomorrow. That's a sensible idea, I guess. You don't want to create holes in the defence away from home, especially. Tomiyasu, when he's come off the bench, he's done well. I do think he's done well this season, Tomiyasu. So that's not a bad shout, That's probably at least an idea.
Just to say AFC always, by the way. I see you. I see your new username up there. I will give you a message later on. All right, cool. And I will say, I think the Tomiyasu idea is a really good one. I might actually do it, perhaps on Tuesday.
Yeah. I think I'll see Tomiyasu start on Tuesday. Whether it's right back or left back, I think he will start.
Yeah.
For the sake of rotation.
Because the games come very, very quick over this week. I mean, for example, I had a quick look at Arsenal.com earlier on, and it suggests we obviously have Chelsea tomorrow. We have Sevilla in the Champions League. What a game that's going to be, by the way, especially after what happened to us against Lens.
It's a
And I know you can all
must-win.
hear
It's
Amy
not-
in the background, by the way. You all will know, and I know you're all very, very understanding, and I appreciate you all. That Amy is autistic, and she's going to be noisy in the background. I'm literally trying to look after my little daughter and take care to our stream as well. So let me get my train of thought back. So we want to make sure that we are lining up solidly against. Sorry, I've come to a blank all of a sudden.
Are you talking about the Champions League game?
So we're going to be wanting to make sure that we're solid against Chelsea.
Yeah.
With the knowledge that we're still going to be strong against our Champions League opponent, Sevilla.
Yeah.
I know they've had a tough time, Sevilla, and I reported the other week that they dismissed their manager. It'll be very interesting to see how they respond. We'll talk about that perhaps next week, right? And yeah, just to carry on in the comments, because obviously Mile High Hotspur just jumping in saying, fair play, going to gather in, thank you. Just stopping by, saying hi, good luck against the scum. And do you know what? We have a mutual enemy there. And I think I'm going to put this absolutely on record. It is so important for Arsenal to follow up a tactical. Now, you said it yourself, Posh Bertie, and I'm going to use your quotation almost exactly. A tactical masterclass. You might have meant it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I actually think
the second half, anyway, against City.
The tactical masterclass against Manchester City brought a side to Arsenal Football Club of this generation that I'm not sure we had, quite honestly. And what I mean is that we were defensively solid. We had the back four in place, and of course, Zinchenko done his thing a little bit, and he goes into the midfield positions like he does. But with, as I said, right at the beginning of that stream, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know. But having that two-man midfield pivot in front of that back four was so important. It made sure that so we had Jorginho to start, we had Rice to start. I actually think it's a really good shout against Chelsea tomorrow that partnership stays on. I'll tell you why. It's because Jorginho never played for Italy. It would have been because he would have been at the training ground. I'd keep Partey in the squad, keep him involved, of course. Because Partey, when he came on against City, for that, I think it was about 20 odd minutes or so, was excellent. Don't get me wrong. And he played a really key part in that goal that made us win that game. If you remember, Partey was on that right-hand side, swung that beautiful pass alongside to Tomiyasu, who laid it off to Havertz. I'm going to get back to Havertz in just a second because I might be about to shock you all.
AFC always, Arsenal forever says, imagine if Jorginho and Havertz score tomorrow. I would be ecstatic if that happened.
Absolutely.
And did they start or not?
Happen. Because honestly, them two players are Premier League players. Now, especially Jorginho, who's been around the block for so long. Honestly, sometimes the experience for someone like that in the middle of the park is absolutely crucial. And imagine the scenes at Stamford Bridge should their former 6'5" striker stroke midfield player should do the business. Now,
if that happens, I'll be that'd be hilarious. But it depends if he'll start or not. I don't think I should have him start, but
okay, well, that's interesting, Posh. That's really interesting. Let's look into it further because I think we've named basically the goalkeeper and the back four. So in terms of you'd probably go. You want to start Saka?
If he's fit enough, yes.
Because this is where we might differ a tiny bit. Just a tiny
The
bit.
Champions League game coming up.
Because the game comes up quite quick, and this is going to be the case now, because we're sort of approaching that stage. It gets really crazy, right? I want to look at managing certainly game time in terms of an awful lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Saka's one of them. If we lose Saka for a huge amount of time, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I might even have less hair than I already have, in all fairness to you. But
will turn into a certain indie wrestler stroke what culture wrestling presenter.
Why?
Well, because we'll lose Bukayo Saka, that's why.
That's why. Big up to Simon Miller, by the way. I would talk more about him off air. But yeah, you're right. There's you've thrown me off completely where I was going to go, Posh. You got to remember
him and Tom Campbell in the same room. It's very soon.
Absolutely. Right.
Anyway. So
yeah, I'm thinking I want to be a bit cautious with Bukayo. Do you know what? Yeah. I might even consider a partnership. So I might consider and this is because of the international commitments as well. I might be either or Jesus up front or Nelson.
Yeah.
Nketiah, okay. I'm going to play.
Here we go. Yeah.
Or Havertz. And Martinelli on the left.
Gun to my head, I'd rather have Havertz up front over Nketiah because he's 6 foot. You can get the headers in if you cross the ball, which is he does score headers from crosses usually.
Nice. He really does. And yeah. Would you agree with me that against Manchester City, certainly in the couple of occasions, so we're talking about the league game, we're talking about the Charity Shield, and I'm talking about Crystal Palace away from home when we went down to 10, when Havertz has played up top, is actually shock horror. I know. Some of you might disagree with me, and I'd love to see a few more interactions down below. I'm saying this to be a little bit controversial as well. But I think Havertz as a centre striker might actually work better than perhaps the experiment of putting him in the Granit Xhaka position.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Actually, he's better off up front than he is in as a box-to-box midfielder. I think he's more suited to be up front. He came off the bench against City and done. He did a decent job up front. I would do the same thing. I would start Jesus. Maybe I would at some point in the second half replace him with Havertz up front, maybe, and we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely. Well, okay. Arsenal forever. I'm automatically saying to us. AFC always. Last time we played Chelsea in a 5:30 kickoff, we lost 3-2 in 2018.
The second game under the Unai Emery era. I remember it well.
Bertie, mate. You're throwing out the stats, and I appreciate your work, my friend. Thank you very much for doing that. But does a stat like that really matter right now?
Famous last words, no.
No. What I think on this one is that there's been a lot of changes for both sides. Whether they're good all the way for one side or bad all the way one side, I'm not quite sure. What I'm seeing of Chelsea of late, and to back up what my comment a little bit further back, is that it's a side that's rebuilding a little bit under a new manager, of course, who knows Mikel Arteta very well. Pochettino does know Mikel from way back. And with Chelsea, I think, without getting all to the political side of things, I think it was always going to be very difficult for a new manager and a new ownership to come together and move forward.
Todd Bowley is a strange one, isn't he? But yeah,
I agree. Any more to add before I have a sip?
I think things have changed from Arsenal and Chelsea since 2018, and we've played 5:30 kickoffs before, and we've won them before. We did a couple 5:30 kickoffs on Gooner Gathering against Bournemouth last season and against Wolves last season, for example. We won those games, so the timing might not be an issue, but it depends on how we perform, how the result's going to be, because away games are tough anyway. Don't get me wrong, but at Stamford Bridge, it's a toughie. It's a toughie, especially when Chelsea are back into form.
Absolutely. You mentioned they're very. I apologise for Baby Shark being in the background, by the way. I can't do anything about that, by the way. I'm really sorry.
Well, we ate the big blue shark on 2 weeks ago, didn't we?
So you'll have to repeat that, mate. I didn't quite hear you.
We ate the big blue shark 2 weeks ago against Man City.
Absolutely. I couldn't have put it better myself. Thanks, mate. Just to say, boys and girls, by the way, it will be the same sort of lineup tomorrow for the live game. Bertie is going to be in charge because I am going to be on daddy duty relatively early. So I'm going to have a very long day tomorrow. I can tell you that much. But I'm looking forward to.
Step out, I'll hold the fort.
I know you will. And when you did that against City, when you had to, you did a fantastic job. Please, always come in, support Posh Bertie. Who knows? We might even have a run in. You never know.
You could always build a cinema. Just let it go, Stacey.
Let it go. I know exactly what she's talking about. Don't worry about that. But
okay.
Yeah, no. She's a bit of a Pokemon reference there as well.
But it was Frozen. I was going to say, because I had a 5-year-old cousin when that film came out, so that's why good times, eh? Anyway, carry on.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. So we kind of know the Arsenal team news, or at least one of us has had the trouble to read some of the stuff on Arsenal.com. And so basically, we're talking about 3 injuries. Saliba, of course, has still got Holland in his pocket. We've still got Saka as a bit of a question mark. And, of course, Trossard is the other one. There is a bit of a question mark with the Chelsea lineup. Reece James, appointed Chelsea captain, played 1 game, I think, in this season. Although it's been injured for a long time. It apparently is back in training. Sorry. Stacey, please don't confuse me when I'm on a live stream, please.
Downstairs, but yeah. Thank you for your
of course,
question.
the cats.
Anyway,
thank you. I understood all of a sudden. What do you make of Chelsea? Obviously, they've had a difficult start to the season, but they did get a couple of good results prior to the international break. What do you expect of them? Go ahead.
I think, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I can name their lineup off by heart because they've had a massive squad overhaul. So don't ask me to do that. I'd expect them to play decent football. I think they will go attacking. It's up to us to be organised and can make sure we can hit them where it hurts, so to speak. We can really make sure we can have a plan to counter them and to essentially get the win in the end.
Yeah.
Is Martinelli fit from his hamstring? I think he is. I think so, anyway.
Well, let's talk about that, shall we? Because I think Martinelli's part to play in the Manchester City game was phenomenal. We perhaps haven't spoken about that enough, actually. So we spoke during the live match about the fact that it was looking like it was a bit difficult. There looked like a bit of a lack of pace amongst our front three, right?
Yeah.
And then Martinelli came on the field. Well, I think it took about 5 minutes, if that, for us to comment how much of an improvement it already looked in terms of him being out there. Now.
Yeah, I agree.
And the fact that obviously with Saka, I think we might agree. I know we could agree. And can you imagine that we want to be a bit careful with Saka because we don't want him to aggravate any potential injury, which will rule him out for longer than he needs to be. And as far as I read Mikel Arteta's press conference today, it's still a bit of a question mark. That is why he was out of the England games. And it's important to note it worked that there was an important game in that lot. That Italy game in the qualifiers would have been, well, it obviously was such an important step for England getting forward to the Euros. It was the Euros, wasn't it?
Euros.
Thank you. I was getting very worried I was going to say that wrong. So, yeah, it was very important for England to do really well in that very, very difficult game. They'd managed to do that, obviously, without Saka. I wonder if they might just want to put the brakes on Saka just a little bit. I know as well as you. Which is
why I think if he starts, if I was the manager, if I'd start him, I'd take him off at some point in the second half, replace him with either, like I say, Reece Nelson or ESR.
Yeah, and that's probably a point that we probably need to talk about as well, ESR, because them stories have come about again, haven't they, over the international break, that ESR might want to look away from the Emirates Stadium. I would say that would be very bad news for us, but I also understand the frustration that he may have being on the sidelines for so long.
Especially if you pick Nketiah over him on the wings, and
But
see, this is
no, totally different position. Nketiah is a world-class number 9 striker. I've told you this.
Jesus, then. I mean, when you play a striker as a winger over someone like Smith Rowe, then it's just not right. Smith Rowe should be getting more game time. He's an excellent player, and I completely understand his frustrations, and I won't be surprised if he hands in a transfer request in January.
Absolutely.
And we would lose a phenomenal player.
He is a phenomenal player. You're absolutely right. I agree with that 100%. And if he doesn't force his way into an Arsenal starting 11, whether it be any time within the next sort of couple of months or beyond, we shall see. I think it'd be very odd of Arsenal to think about selling him in this sort of stage. And I know for his career, I will understand the criticism, and I will understand the want to play first team football, particularly his age. He's just gone, I think, 22, I think, thereabouts. Oh, to be that young again.
That's my age. Trust me, I don't. Supporting Arsenal, I don't feel young. I can tell you that now.
You want to walk a mile or two in my boots, my friend.
You are only 2 years older than me. You're 24.
Stop it.
You told me, and I know that. You told me so.
You're deceiving our audience, and I won't be having it. But I actually think ESR has a major part to play. Let me just get my words out of my mouth. Sorry. You have to excuse me. I've been up very, very early this morning. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, guys. It's been a very long day. Having to do this long time, this full-time job lark. It's right pain. But anyway, I actually think ESR has a major part to play in the next few weeks. If you look at our fixture list coming up, after Chelsea, Sevilla, then Premier League on Saturday, Sheffield United. After that, it's the cup tie. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of momentum and trying to keep momentum, that winning ways going forward. We've seen City do it so many times. And do you know what? I'm a bit jealous of some success. Picking up trophies is what it's all about. So I actually think ESI has a major part to play, particularly against West Ham away coming up there. Who knows? Who knows? He might have a big part to play potentially tomorrow. And Spencer says, thank you, Smith Rowe will probably end up being a crucial sub and rotation in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup squads. Yes, I actually think that's probably about right. It's kind of unfortunate, especially when we look at things with, do I want to say rose-tinted glasses? And what I mean by that is you're looking at one of our Hale End boys, if you like, who has had such a long time away from the first team action. He's been away for the vast majority of last season. Came back, a couple of times at the really back end of it. And at Scary, I believe. Don't waste a tweet. Make sure you subscribe to them, everybody. Welcome in. Thanks, mate. But he has such quality. We already know that. He has such potential. But we can only put 11 players out on the pitch at one time. Right?
Yeah.
See, from the Barbados, I didn't know that. It's living the dream in the Caribbean islands. Can you imagine? Getting all that nice weather. Posh, you never know. I might even be able to get a tan over there. What do you think?
Love it. You live in the Costa del Chelmsford. It's always warm there.
Of course it is. Of course it's been chucking it down over here in Essex, my friend. My goodness, my Essex accent came out there, didn't it? I need to get a bit more professional. So that I do you know what, Posh? If you have anything else to add, I think I've completely lost my train of thought.
Yeah, Smith Rowe is probably, as Spencer says, a player that should get a few starts against bottom of the table sides, and in FA Cup, Carabao Cup games. That's where he'll probably start. I've been to Southend before, Stacey. It's very lovely there.
Southend's lovely.
But yeah, I think Smith Rowe needs to get more game time. He'll probably be in the cup competitions, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, but if anything, he'll probably come off the bench in Premier League games. But I don't think I can see him staying around for long. That's my opinion.
Well, Gary says ESR, Nelson, Vieira and Kivior need minutes now.
I'm not too concerned about Kivior and Vieira. ESR is the player I'm concerned about.
Yeah, but I do get what he's getting at, do you know? Because we don't want to get to a situation where someone's coming in from the cold and having to play a big role in a big game somewhere in the Premier League, for example.
No, I agree. I don't expect him to be slotted into the starting 11 tomorrow, obviously. But it's a shame to see someone who got regular game time 2 seasons ago just lost in the shuffle now.
Yeah, I agree, and you're right. He had such a part to play in that Arsenal side a couple of years ago. That finished fourth, didn't he? Impact off the bench, particularly goals and assists all the time. It kind of concerns me a little bit that he has fallen away a little bit, and if he doesn't get himself involved a little bit more, it's a bit of a worry that he could leave in January, for example. Although, would Arsenal allow that to happen in the middle of a season where you've got, hopefully, we'll start in. So we're talking about the January.
You want to get that money for Pedro Neto or someone like that.
Yeah, we're talking about sort of January time, when you got to think about, are we still going to be competing in the Champions League, Premier League, the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever. And just having a quick look in the chat. Tammy is the name. Sounds like a train wreck. Does that make any sense to you?
Tammy Abraham.
Abraham?
No, I think we're looking. The rumours are Arsenal are trying to get Pedro Neto as a backup for Saka. You've got to get the money for him somewhere. I just worry that they'll use Emil Smith-Rowe as the player they'll get the money for which sacrifices, I guess.
Well, the interesting thing is, I wonder where Arsenal are in terms of financial fair play. I'll read that in a second because otherwise I'll get distracted. That with, for example, Raya, that they got on a loan deal. Yeah. Perhaps with the idea of bringing him in perhaps next summer, right?
Yeah.
Are Arsenal sort of in the cusp of getting themselves in a bit of FFP difficulty, and we don't want to find ourselves in that sort of position when people are sort of going to be throwing question marks at us?
Well, they don't seem to do it when Chelsea do it. It's fine. When City do it, it's completely fine. When Arsenal do it, oh no, it's bad stuff, isn't it? That's how it works. But I just, it's lots of questions. ESR 10 goals off the bench. Who can do that now? Trossard?
Well, Trossard actually. Wow, did we just agree again? Bosh?
Yeah.
Goodness me. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. That is there any other? Is there anyone? I mean, let's just try and put our minds back a little bit. Havertz, I know, came off the bench, and I know he's only scored 1 goal. Right, I know, but I do see potential in him, particularly if he plays in the right position. But I mean, I don't know. It's a really great question. ESR probably offers something that is very difficult to come across. It's very difficult to get someone who can do that crucial bit at that last play, that putting the ball in the net, making that last pass. But like I said, for someone whose career, certainly over the last, it'd be 18 months, 2 years, isn't it? That he's had so many injury worries that's why there's question marks, unfortunately. ESR as a backup, number 10, can play winger. Don't waste a tweet. Forgot about Trossard. We
do
need more than one.
Yeah.
And of course, Trossard came off injured in the last match against City with the hamstring injury. I think it ruled him out of the Belgium national side as well. So, it means that I don't know if he's going to be good for selection. We'll find out tomorrow. And we'll see what our depth of squad in terms of who we might potentially replace him with. To read another comment, they're coming in thick and fast. And do you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Talking about
Gary
the weather.
will be safe as Barbados. Sorry, it's moved up.
Barbados always gets heavy rain afterwards, as there was a weather warning today, as Tammy is a name they use when the hurricanes are due in the Caribbean. Not into Tammy Abraham. Okay.
Okay. Trossard versus Smith Rowe in the age profile.
Trossard's like 28, I think.
Yeah, he's got to be a bit older, isn't he? And with that, probably has a lot more minutes Premier League time as well.
Yeah, he's got more experience as well, let's not forget.
Trossard 28, ESR 23. That's interesting. He's probably a little bit older than we think he was. Probably because he played for the England under-21s last summer. Whereas obviously, I mean, that will all depend on what their date of birth and all that sort of thing, I believe. So really, just to sort of finish our stream off this evening, Posh.
Yeah.
What do you see happening tomorrow? Will Arsenal remain unbeaten? Will become a famous away winner?
I do think that Tottenham will beat Fulham on Monday, which means they'll be up the top of the league again. But that's who, at the moment, the title race is between at the moment. So we got to beat Chelsea. I think fingers crossed we will. I think it'll be 2-1. I think we will go 2-0 up. I think in the second half, Chelsea will get one back, and it will be the most high blood pressure second half we've probably ever seen. So, yeah. So, a standard Arsenal game then.
Do you think you'll see a situation where I lose my mind as much as I did at the end of the City game?
Yes.
Excellent.
That I'm certain of.
Excellent. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out our YouTube shorts. You'll soon see. For what it's worth, ladies and gentlemen, I will take inspiration perhaps from the comments that came about during the Manchester City game, which referred very much to the George Graham style of Arsenal. And I am going to go for a 1-0 win to Arsenal tomorrow. But we shall soon find out. We do not have long to wait. We will be live again tomorrow on our YouTube channel predominantly, of course. You can find us also on the other platforms, Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. But we shall soon find out. We will be live 5:15 tomorrow. Is that right, Posh? For a 5:30 kickoff?
5:15.
Gary says the heart machine has been ordered. Posh, thanks for the warning. 2-0 to Arsenal, says Spencer. Emerson Cozier says a hard-fought 2-3. That sounds like very much what I covered on our Twitch channel, which is www.twitch.tv/Gooner Gathering, where I gave our new equipment a bit of a run out the other day, where I rewatched that classic Can You Believe It game. I had a lot of fun doing that. I learned a lot on my own on that stream the other night because I through the new equipment, it gives us a lot of potential. Without sounding too much like Arsene Wenger. So big shout out to Stacey, who's helped us out massively. We will hope to speak to Stacey very, very soon about doing a potential desert island, dare I say it, craps. I mean, wrestling.
Well, I think the cease and desist letters are going in the post. The Impact Wrestling ring announcer, Tom Campbell, who is announcing Simon Miller to the ring soon, is going to be fuming at you when you say that, but I'm sure you can bribe him and get away with it.
Tom will be all right with me. I can guarantee it. He's a good guy. And just to make sure we're absolutely cool with Cultaholic Wrestling, make sure you look at their channel as well. Anyone who's in the chat, Cultaholic Wrestling on YouTube, also on their Twitch stream. Make sure you check out everything they do. They have very much inspired the pair of us doing what we are doing. So yeah, and we probably owe them an awful lot for the confidence that they have brought us doing what we are doing. There's their merch just over there. Buy the merch. So look, I think we're nearly an hour done, Posh Bertie. What do you think? I think we're probably just about done for today. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to get some sleep before I watch the big old game tomorrow. And yeah, I'm looking forward to tuning in. Well, I won't be tuning in because I'll be there. So I'm looking forward to tuning into the match and watching the drama unfold.
So where can they find you on the social medias, mate?
My Twitter or X is at Posh Bertie. My Instagram is at Bertie Oneless.
You can find me, of course, at Gunley Meads on X. You can find all of us on our wonderful channel here.
I'm getting it cut on Sunday, Stacey. Sorry.
Did you just cut me off?
Yeah, she answered an essential question, saying that my
hair
needs cutting.
Trimming.
I'm getting it cut on Sunday.
Okay then. Let me just put my eyebrow out there. Red Bull Vodka is in the chat. I'm sorry you're joining us as we are signing out. Red Bull Vodka. Please, if you would kindly hit that like button and go back and watch our stream, it'd be really appreciated. You can find me at Gunley Meads. You can find all of us at Gooner Gathering. You'll find us also on that TikTok channel where we put all sorts of fun content out with, more often than not, some silly wrestling sort of nonsense going on in the background. Make sure you tune in to us. Posh Bertie is leading the stream tomorrow for the live match, Chelsea versus Arsenal, 5:15 here on the YouTube channel. Have a fantastic Friday evening, everybody. I've got to do one more work shift before then. Wish me luck, everybody. Saturdays are always stressful. Have a lovely evening, everybody. We're going to love you and leave you. Take care, everybody. We shall see you next time.